Welcome to the discussion video on Module 8 Loan Receivable. So for the last parts of the receivable topic, we discussed yung accounts receivable and notes receivable. But for this discussion, we will be dealing with the loan receivables. At the end of the module, the following are expected: understanding initial measurement of loan receivable, the subsequent measurement of loan receivable, the recognition of impairment, and the discussion of the three-stage process in loan impairment. So what is a loan receivable? Essentially, this loan receivable pose no material difference between accounts receivable and notes receivable. However, this loan receivable is normally issued by banks and financial institutions. Loan receivable is a financial asset in the form of loan given by a bank or other financial institutes to a borrower. The term of the loan may be classified as short term, but usually it is long term receivable. So essentially, loan receivable is the same with accounts and notes receivable. However, these types of receivables are issued by banks and financial institutions and at merong loan agreement between the bank and the borrower. So the question now is, how do we measure in financial accounting yung itong loan receivable na ito? At initial recognition, it is said that the loan receivable shall be measured at the fair value plus the transaction cost. So, ang sinasabi dito is the loan receivable measured at fair value plus transaction cost. We know what fair value is. The transaction, the amount at which an item can be sold in the market in a readily competitive market condition, plus the transaction cost. We know yung kung anong ibig sabihin ng transaction cost is the expenses incurred in effecting a particular transaction. However, mayroong transaction cost is very general and very vague in nature. Very broad ang definition niya. So, ang sinasabi lang dito, the transaction costs that are directly attributable to the acquisition of the financial asset ang i-consider mo at naisama sa fair value when you are recognizing at initial recognition itong loan receivable na ito. Okay. Now, let's look at how do we measure naman at subsequent. Kumbaga, bibigyan muna kita ng overview. At subsequent measurement of the loan receivable, it is said that the loan receivable shall be measured at amortized cost. So, yun lang yan. Yung initial measurement at fair value plus transaction cost, yung transaction cost, it should be directly attributable or direct cost doon sa loan receivable, and at subsequent measurement, it should be at amortized cost. So later on, we will discuss itong sinasabing amortized cost na yan. Throughout the discussion, you will be um, encountering the terms such as the direct origination cost and the indirect origination cost. So what does it mean? The transaction costs that are directly attributed to the acquisition of the loan receivable is direct origination. So lahat ng mga expenses na related in processing the loan receivable is direct origination cost, while others, yung indirect, ay classified as indirect origination cost. Sir, ano ang bearing kung paano i-identify itong direct and indirect? Because direct origination cost, ito yung sinasama dun sa fair value, which is di ba, mini-measure mo ang loan receivable at fair value plus transaction cost. Yung transaction cost na yun, these are the direct origination cost. Yung indirect origination costs are not included in the fair value plus transaction cost na sinasabi kanina. So, anong ginagawa sa indirect origination cost? It is expense outright. Outright expense yan. Okay. Now, let's look at what amortization means. The amortized cost is the initial measurement of loan receivable, less or minus the principal payment, plus or minus the cumulative amortization of any difference of initial carrying amount to the principal maturity amount, and minus impairment loss or uncollectibility. So, mas maiintindihan mo itong amortization cost when we are doing a practical application. Okay. So, some items are for your reading, but I will be giving the basic knowledge that you have to know in order for you to survive analyzing loan receivable transactions. Okay, so we discussed already yung initial measurement na fair value plus transaction cost, the subsequent measurement at amortized cost. We already define what amortized cost is. Then in-introduce na sa iyo yung direct and indirect origination cost. Now let's move to origination fees. Origination fees is different from origination cost. Bakit? The origination fees are fees charged by the bank against the borrower. It's a compensation by the bank for the creation of the loan. Anong ibig sabihin lang nito? Itong mga origination fees, these are essentially origination costs yan. However, ang nag-shoulder ng expenses is the borrower. So, anong klaseng mga origination fees? For example, let's look at this. Number one, evaluation of collateral and security. For example, nangutang ka sa bangko pero dahil malaki ang inuutang mo sa bangko, hinihingan ka ng collateral. For example, titled lot, o kaya mga chattel mortgages, mga sasakyan or mga personal properties. So sila they will investigate, they will conduct investigation or assessment, appraisal, and evaluation on the collateral and security na ino-offer mo. So, merong cost associated doon. So, kung yung mga cost daw na yon is charge against the borrower, kung sino yung mangungutang sa kanya siya ang magbabayad, it is considered as an origination fee. Next, negotiation on the terms of the loan. Anong mga klaseng terms ito? For example, gaano kahaba ang payment terms? Gaano kadalas, for example, semi-monthly, semi-annually, o kaya quarterly ba ang payment. Next, the processing of the documents required. So, merong mga documents na kailangan related sa processing ng loan. So, kung yan ay chargeable against the borrower, it is considered as an origination fee. Next, evaluation of the borrower's financial condition. So, normally, yung mga CI ng mga banks and financial institutions, they conduct credit checking across the other financial institutions. So, ini-establish nila yung capacity ng borrower. So, lahat ng costs related to doon uh, are part of origination cost. Ngayon, kung ang origination cost na yan, lahat ng mga items, for example, ito, evaluation, negotiation, processing, and evaluation of the borrower's financial condition, itong apat na ito, are chargeable against the borrower, kung sino yung nangungutang, it is considered as an origination fee. Sir, paano kapag itong mga items na ito is not chargeable against the borrower, it is part of the direct origination cost. Please take note of that. Kung itong apat na items na ito ay hindi chargeable against the borrower, it is part of the direct origination cost na itong direct origination cost na ito ay kasama doon sa fair value plus transaction cost na sinasabi doon sa unang initial measurement ng loan receivable. Okay, let's read these statements. The origination costs received from the borrowers or clients are recognized as an earned interest income and will be amortized over the term of the loan. So, ang earned interest income is a liability account. Ibig sabihin kasi niyan, hindi mo pa na-earn itong income na ito, itong klaseng interest income na ito. So, you will classify it as a liability, kaya unearned interest income pa yan. So, kung meron kang natanggap na pay na bayad o yung origination fee received mo dyan, you just have to debit cash and then credit unearned interest income. Itong unearned interest income will be amortized using the amortization table over the term of the loan. So, unti-unti ita-transfer mo yung unearned interest income into your interest income. So, how do you transfer? You just debit interest income and then credit unearned interest income kapag nag-a-amortize habang lumilipas yung term of the loan. Next, There are origination fees that are not chargeable against the borrower. So, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, mga hindi chargeable against the borrower. These fees are defined as direct origination costs. Kaya, dun siya kasama. Direct origination costs are costs incurred by the bank and not received from the borrower. Okay, in-specify niya lang dito na yung direct origination cost ay ginastos ng bangko pero hindi binayaran ni borrower. Kaya not received from the borrower, sabi niya dyan. Direct origination costs are also amortized over the term of the loan. Okay? Next. The origination fee received and the direct origination costs incurred are included in the measurement of the loan receivables carrying amount. We have identified kanina na yung initial measurement ng loan receivable is the fair value plus the transaction cost. Fair value plus the transaction cost. Yung fair value na tinutukoy doon, sir, paano ma-identify yung fair value ng isang loan receivable? The fair value of a loan receivable is its transaction price. Kung ano ang nandoon sa loan agreement, ay yun na yun. At the date kung, halimbawa, nag-agree tayo na ako si bank, tapos ikaw si borrower, papautangin kita ng 1 million today, ang date ng ating loan agreement, ang fair value nun ay 1 million din because at at time zero 1 million ang fair value ng ating pinag-agrihan. So yun lang yun. The transaction cost you will have to analyze whether it is direct origination cost o kung meron bang direct origination fees related to that. Okay. If the direct origination cost exceeds the origination fees received, the difference is charged to the direct origination cost. The amortization will decrease the interest income. Okay? If the origination fee is higher, the interest income will increase and the difference of the two is recorded as interest, unearned interest income. Okay, let's have an illustration related to that. Smart Bank granted a 3-year loan to a borrower on January 1, 2020. The interest of the loan is 10% and payable annually starting December 21, 2020. The loan matures on December 31, 2022. So, binigyan ka ng details on principal amount, origination fee received, direct origination cost incurred, indirect origination cost incurred. Okay, before we proceed with the computational part, ito kasi yung katuloy dyan. The origination, okay, ito. This paragraph is a continuation of the given problem. After consideration of the direct origination cost and origination fees received, the effective rate is 12%. Since the initial carrying amount of the loan is lower than the principal amount of the effective rate, the principal amount of the effective rate should be higher than the nominal rate because of the discount of the loan. So, anong sinasabi lang dito? Given ang effective rate. So, you do not have to compute for the effective rate because it is given at 12%. The nominal rate is 10%. Okay. Magkano ang pinautang? 4 million. Si Smart nagpautang kay borrower, 4 million. Origination fee received. Ibig sabihin, ito yung mga co-origination cost, yung sa pag-CI, sa collateral, security na diniscuss natin kanina, na binayaran ni borrower, 302,100. Direct origination cost incurred, ito naman yung mga items na binayaran ni Smart Bank, 110,000. And all other indirect ay 30,000. Itong indirect na yan, di ba? Sabi, it is an outright expense. So before we proceed, normally ang requirement dito is to journalize the transactions from 2020 to 2022. So, 3-year period. Before we proceed with that, let us first analyze yung how do we identify the yung initial recognition of the loan. So, 'di ba, ang sabi kanina, at initial measurement, it is measured as at the fair value plus the transaction cost. Okay. The fair value at this moment, dahil at time zero, is the principal amount, 4 million. Plus the transaction costs that are directly attributable to the loan. Ano ba ang transaction directly attributable is the direct origination cost na 110,000. Okay. However, merong origination fee received. Kung matatandaan mo, ang sabi dito sa item, balikan natin. This. This item said, the origination fee received and the direct origination costs incurred are included in the measurement of the loan receivables carrying amount. Ibig sabihin itong included, this is included in the computation but not necessarily added. Yun ang sinasabi lang dyan. This is considered in the measurement of the loan receivables carrying amount but not necessarily added. Bakit kasi? Let us explain this. The origination fees na natanggap mo from borrower is an inflow of cash. Di ba? Nakatanggap ka ng inflow. Paano mo dino-journalize yan? You debit cash and then you credit and earn interest income. Kasi sabi kanina, the origination fee received is recognized as an earned interest income. So, since ang origination fee received is an inflow at itong principal amount and the direct origination costs are outflow dahil ikaw ay nagpautang, it is proper that you deduct the origination fee received from the outflow because they are contra accounts. So, the principal amount, 4 million plus direct origination cost, 110,000 minus the origination fee received which is charged against the borrower is 302,100. The carrying amount of the loan at initial recognition is 3,807,900. So kung titingnan mo, the principal amount, ang inutang talaga sa iyo is 4 million. Pero in effect, ang lumabas lang talagang pera sa iyo ay 3,807,900 kasi may part doon na binayaran ni borrower. The direct origination cost is expense outright, sabi dito sa note. Okay, so we will be using the initial measurement of the loan when we are crafting our amortization schedule. But for this year, for January 20, for the year 2020, let us first journalize the transactions. Number 1, the granting of the loan. How do you recognize it? You debit, loan, receivable, credit, cash. Remember kapag banks and financial institutions ang nagbigay, ang ginagamit nilang receivable accounts ay loan receivable at hindi accounts or notes receivable. Loan receivable po ang ginagamit ng mga banks and financial institutions, kaya loan receivable ang nandyan. You debit, loan receivable, credit, cash, 4 million. Yung origination fee received na 302,100, you debit cash. Dahil natanggap mo yan, galing yan doon sa borrower. And then credit, unearned interest income. Kasi sabi doon sa discussion kanina ay i-recognize daw ang origination fee received as unearned interest income. Then eventually yan ay i-amortize mo. Kumbaga, unti-untiin mong ilipat sa earned interest income. Next, the direct origination costs incurred. The direct origination costs incurred ay tina-charge din yan sa unearned interest income, however, debit. Dahil pangbawas yan dun sa kung ano man yung na-earn, yung unearned interest income. So, debit unearned interest income, 110,000, then credit cash. Dahil ang nagbayad niyan ay si Smart Bank. Okay. Now, let's proceed with the amortization. Yung amortization table na gagawin natin. So this is for 3-year loan. So, 2020, 2021, and 2022. Okay, so gawa ka lang ng amortization table. Dapat meron kang 5 columns. One is for the date. Next is for the interest receivable. Next is for the interest income. Next is for the amortization. And next is for the carrying amount. Okay. On January 1, 2020, kung kailan ginrant yung loan, nag-compute tayo kanina ng initial recognition of the loan is 3,807,900. So, yun ang yung carrying amount. Wala ka pang interest receivable dyan kasi grant pa lang ng loan, interest income wala, amortization wala at January 1, 2020. Okay, for December 31, 2020, mayroon ka na dyang items dahil nakalipas na ang isang taon. Okay, under the column of interest receivable, how do you compute for interest receivable? 'Di ba? If you will go back to the problem, ang sabi dito sa problem ay ang pinautang ay 4 million at ang interest on the loan is 10%. So kung nagpautang ka ng 4 million, magkano ang ine-expect mong marireceive mo at the after a certain period? For in this case, after 1 year. So 4 million times 10% is 400,000 ang interest receivable mo for 2020, 400,000. Next, interest income is kung magkano yung marireceive mong income, magkano ang i-recognize na income using the carrying amount naman. Kung kanina ang ginamit mo is the principal amount, dito sa interest income, you will be using your carrying amount. 3,807,900 multiply to, saan multiply? The nominal or the effective rate. Magkano ba ang effective rate? Binanggit ko kanina, dito yun, 12%. So, 3,807,900 multiply to your effective rate. Yun yung interest income mo. So, 3,807,900 times 12% is 456,948. Okay. The amortization. Ang amortization is just the difference between the interest receivable and the interest income. So, magkano ba ang difference ng dalawa? 400,000 minus 456,948 is 56,948. Remember, ang carrying amount mo is 807,900 which is lower than your principal amount na 4 million. So, ikaw ay papunta sa 4 million. So, anong gagawin mo sa 56,948? Ia-add mo yan. So, 56,948 plus 3807,900 is 3,864,848. So, andito na tayo sa 3,864,848. Next, interest receivable mo on 2021 is the same kasi hindi naman nagbabago yung principal amount at yung nominal rate. So, 400,000. Same is true with 2022. So, ituloy-tuloy mo lang. 3,864,848 times 12% is 463,782. So, pag minusin mo, 463,782 minus 400,000 is 63,782. I-add mo ulit itong 63,782 to 3,864,848. You will have 3,928,630. So, 3,928,630 times 12% is 471,370. So, i-minus mo lang uli yan, 471,370 minus 400,000, your amortization is 71,370. Then, yan ay i-add mo lang doon sa carrying amount. 3,928,630 plus 71,370, you will get 4 million. Ay. 3,928,630 okay, if you will be observing, there's a note, there's a difference of 65 because of the rounding of the present value. Kapag andun ka na sa end of the year, ang gagawin mo lang dyan is yung 3,928,630, di ba? If you will observe or follow yung procedure na ginagawa natin, yung carrying amount multiply to 12% and then kukunin yung amortization and then i-add doon sa carrying amount to get the succeeding carrying amount for the next year. O-observe mo na magkakaroon ka ng 65 peso na difference dyan. However, because you are using present values, using effective interest rates, kapag dun sa end of the year, i-plot mo na kaagad yung 4 million. And then, i-squeeze natin, i-work back natin yun. 4 million minus 3,928,630, 71,370 The 71,370, i-add mo lang doon para maging 471,370. Kasi kapag ang ginamit mo dyan is yung normal procedure, magiging 4,065,000 itong carrying amount at the end of December 31, 2022. So that is allowed in using the amortization schedule. Okay, now when you already have provided a amortization table for the 3-year period, let us journalize the transactions. Okay, for December 31, 2020, when you receive the cash, you debit cash for 100,000 and then you credit interest income for 100,000. Next, uh, for December 31, 2020 naman, you recognize the interest income na na-earn na natin. Kaya nga, you debit unearned interest income, binawasan na siya, 56,948, and then credit interest income, 56,948. Okay, you try to add 56,948 plus 63,782 plus 71,370, yung mga amortization for the 3-year period. Dapat yan ay equal to um, 192,100. Sir, ano ba yung 192,100? Yun yung natira. Diba? When you recognize at journal entry number 2, you debit cash, you credit unearned interest income, ito yung iyong origination fee, diba? 300 to 100. And then, nung nagbayad ka, yung galing sa bulsa ni Smart Bank, na direct origination cost na 110,000, nabawasan yung unearned interest income. 302,100 minus 110,000 is 192,100. So, yung 192,100, yun na lang yung natitira dito sa liability mo, dito liability account na unearned interest income. So, yan ay unti-unting nililipat doon sa interest income account. Kaya nga ito, binawasan siya ng 56,948. Okay. At December 31, 2021 naman, when you receive the interest, you debit cash, you credit interest income for 100,000. So, ilipat mo uli yung unearned interest income before na 63,782 and then credit interest income 63,782. Next, when you receive the cash, you debit cash, 400,000, credit interest income, 400,000. You debit unearned interest income, 71,370, and then credit interest income, 71,370. So let's just take a look at how it is presented in the statement of financial position when you present a loan receivable. So tingnan mo, for example, December 31, 2020 statement of financial position, the loan receivable is presented at amortized cost. Magkano ba ang loan receivable? 4 million. Yun yung initial recognition. Yun yung pagkaka-receive mo dito. If we go back, ito yun. The loan receivable is at 4 million. Okay. The loan receivable is at 4 million. The unearned interest income, 190 to 100. Ito yung natira, di ba? Yung natira doon sa unearned interest income. For 2020 kasi, nabawasan pa yon ng 56,948. Yun yung na-earn for 2020. So, 135,152. 4 million minus 135,152 is equal to 3,864,848. This is the carrying amount at December 31, 2020 ng loan receivable mo. Parehas ba to doon sa nasa yung amortization schedule? Yes, because essentially, yun din yun. 3,864,848. Okay. So na. Okay, yan. So that is the sample for 2020. So you can do that for 2021 and 2022. Okay, now let's go with the impairment loss. So what is logic? Itong tinatawag na impairment loss. So the basic concept lang naman ng impairment loss is that kung magkano yung carrying amount na nasa iyong balance sheet ay hindi na yon yung kanyang recoverable amount. So, ano sinasabi under the impairment loss? Under the concept of an impairment loss, yung carrying amount ng loan receivable, so, ang focus muna natin is the impairment loss on loan receivable, the carrying amount of the loan receivable, is greater than the recoverable amount. Yan ang sinasabi under the impairment loss. Kapag yung carrying amount na nasa statement of financial position as mas mataas na compared dun sa recoverable amount niya talaga at present, meron ka ng impairment loss. Ibig sabihin, nag-impair or bumaba yung value noong asset or financial asset na yon. Sir, bakit ba nagbabago yung financial asset na yon? So for example, dahil ang focus natin is the loan receivables, dito na papasok yung mga credit losses o mga credit risks. There are possibilities kasi, for example, sa loan contract, merong breach of contract between the two parties. Pwedeng hindi niya sinunod yung terms or kaya ay nagkaroon ng bankruptcy on the part of the borrower. So, mahihirapan ka nang ma-recover yung ganitong amount ng loan na nakaset up sa iyong financial statement. So, ang sinasabi lang under the PFRS 9 ay, an entity shall measure the loss allowance for a financial instrument at an amount equal to the lifetime expected credit losses if the credit risk on the financial instrument has increased significantly since initial recognition. So, kung ni-recognize mo siya ganito, 4 million nung una, pero eventually during the time ay nagkaroon ng mga expected credit losses, baka merong breach of contract, mga and other scenarios that are related to the recovery of the amount of the loan, ay pwedeng mag-set up tayo ng allowance so that yung amount na naka-reflect sa yung financial statement will be realistic and be reliable. Remember, 'di ba? The face of the financial statement shall reflect the actual conditions of the items na nandoon sa isang entity. Okay. The impairment loss is the difference of the carrying amount to the present value of estimated future cash flows discounted at original effective interest rate. So, sinasabi lang dito is yung kung magkano talaga ba mare-recover yung particular loan receivable. So, let us look at how it is done. Okay, Sugar Bank granted 5-year loan of 10 million to Pepper on January 1. The terms require principal payment of 2 million every year with interest of 10 starting on December 31, 2020. So, on December 31, 2020 and 2021, Pepper made the required payments. Okay. Unfortunately, Pepper was unable to make the required payments on December 31 because of weak financial condition. So, ito ay isang factor in the impairment of a law, in the occurrence of an impairment loss due to low revenue during year 2022. After Sugar assessed the collectability of the loan in December, the bank determined that the remaining principal will be collected. However, the interest payments will not be collected. On December 31, the loan receivable has a 6.6 million carrying amount, including the accrued interest of 600. The projected cash flow from the loan on December 31 is, so ito, sinet up na niya based on a study, careful evaluation and study ng mga experts ng company, ay identify nila na ang projected cash flow for the loan ay 1 million, 2 million, 3 million for 2023, 24, and 25 with present values at 0.91, present value of 1 at 10% for 1 period, for 2 periods. Okay, wait lang parang hindi siya nakatapat. Okay, basta itong 0.91, it should be on the present value. Okay. Okay, basta itong present value of 1 at 10% for 1 period is 0.91, for 2 period 0.83, and for 3 periods is at 0.75. So sabi kanina, when we are computing for impairment loss, this is the carrying amount compared with the present value of the cash flows. So, let us compute first for the present value of the cash flows. Ang sabi dito, ang cash flows na lang daw ay iyan, 1 million, 2 million, and 3 million. So, hilahin mo yan at time now. So, paano mo siya hihilahin? You just have to multiply it using the PV factors. So, 1 million times 0.91, 910,000 ang value niyan ngayon. 2 million, 2 million times 0.83, 1 is equal to 1,660,000. Yan ang value niya ngayon. 3 million times 0.75 is 2,250,000. Yun ang value niya ngayon. So, i-add mo lang the total present value of the cash flows ng loan ay 4,820,000. So, i-compare mo yan sa kanyang carrying amount. Magkano ba ang kanyang carrying amount? Magkano ang carrying amount ng loan? Ang sabi dito, 105-year loan of 10 million to Pepper Company on January. The terms require principal of 2 million every year. So, 2 million every year. Nagbayad daw siya noong December 20 and 21. So, tig 2 million ang binayad noon. So, kung nagbayad siya dyan, so, mayroong bayad na 4 million dyan. So, 4 million na ang naibayad dito. So, kung 4 million ang naibayad dyan, 10 million yung principal ng loan. 10 million minus 4 million is 6 million. 6 million. Eh, merong interest na 10% every year. So, 6 million times 10% is 600,000. Kaya ang carrying amount of the loan is 6,600,000. 6,600,000 minus 4,820, ang impairment loss ay 1,780,000. Dahil mas malaki ang carrying amount than the present value, ay meron ng impairment loss. Ibig sabihin, bumaba na yung value ng yung loan receivables. How do you recognize the loan impairment loss? Since it is determined at December 31, 2022. Tingnan nga natin yung provision kung kailan yan determine. Okay. Kahit pala hindi mo na compute, sinabi na pala dito on December 22, the loan receivable is at 6 million, 6.6 carrying amount including the accrued interest of 600,000. Okay, after Sugar Bank assessed the collectibility of the loan December, the bank determined that the remaining principal will be collected. However, the interest payments will not be collected. So, noong December 31, na-identify yung collectability of the loan. So, what is your journal entry on December 31, 2022? Dahil nalaman mo na merong impairment loss, you just have to recognize it. A loss has a normal balance of debit. So, debit loan impairment loss, 1,780,000. Credit. Accrued interest receivable, 600,000. Bakit ini-eliminate itong accrued interest receivable? Because ang sabi doon sa assessment on December 31, 2022 ay ang sabi ay wait lang. Yung nabasa ko kanina, ang sabi, the interest payments will not be collected. Ito. However, the interest payments will not be collected. Kaya, i-eliminate mo na yung receivable account mo ng accrued interest receivable dahil hindi mo na pala makukolekta. Yan. Okay, wait lang. Asan na tayo? Ito. Okay. You debit. And then you credit allowance for loan impairment, 1,180,000 for the balance. So, parang nagsiset up ka lang dito ng doubtful accounts. Remember, kapag bad debts expense, you debit bad debts expense and then you credit allowance for, debit doubtful accounts and then credit allowance for doubtful accounts. So, kapag impairment loss naman, you debit loan impairment loss and then you credit the allowance for loan impairment. In this case kasi, sinabi na yung 600,000 will not be collected. Kaya, i-eliminate na yung receivable account na yan. Next, computation of the carrying amount, December 31, 2022. So, the loan receivable, ang sabi kanina, ay 6 million na lang dahil nakapagbayad na ng 4 million. Allowance for loan impairment, 1,180,000. So, ang carrying amount mo na lang ngayon ay 4,820,000. To record the collection of cash, December 31, 2023, nakakolect ba dyan? Ano bang sabi? Okay. Ito na yon, yung the December 31, 2023. Makakakolect ng 1 million. Okay, so how do you recognize it? You debit cash, 1 million. Credit loan receivable, 1 million. To record the interest, you debit allowance for loan impairment, 482,000, and then credit interest income. Sir, saan nanggaling yung 482,000? ito po yung carrying amount mo na 4,820,000 na ito multiply to your interest rate na 10%. So, balikan natin. Nasaan nakalagay yung 10% na yan? Ayun, ito siya, given. With 10% interest rate. Okay. Next, on December 31, 2014, cash, loan receivable, 2 million. Let us compute the loan receivable, the carrying amount of the loan on December 31 as of the end of December 31, 2023. The loan receivable ay 5 million. Okay? 5 million na lang kasi nagbayad ng 1 million, di ba? The allowance for loan impairment kanina ay 1,118 pero binawasan na ng 482 because of the recording of the interest on December 31, 2023. So, naging 698,000 na lang yan. So, 5 million minus 698, the carrying amount at the end of 2023 is 4,302,000. Yan ang gagamitin mo. You multiply it to 10%, you will get the journal entry. Debit allowance for loan impairment for 3,200, and then interest income 430,200. Kumbaga, nililipat yung allowance for loan impairment ito ay recognized interest income. Sir, bakit kailangan pang mag-recognize ng allowance for loan impairment at hindi na lang intayan na ma-earn yon? Because, di ba, one principle in financial accounting is yung prudence and conservatism. Paano kung hindi yan makolekta? You expect for the worst. You recognize a liability or a loss now rather than recognizing an income now and then eventually hindi mo pala ma-earn. It is better to recognize a loss now than earn income in the future because of the prudence or conservatism. Dapat conservative ang approach when you are looking at your financial statements. Next, 2025, nagbayad ng 3 million naman na sa'yo yung borrower. So, debit cash, credit loan receivable, 3 million. So, how do you recognize naman itong recording ng interest mo? Magkano yung balance kanina? 5 million. Nagbayad sa kanya ng, magkano binayad sa kanya on the previous, noong 2024, 2 million. So, kaya naging 3 million na lang. So, allowance for loan impairment, 698 minus 430. Ang natira na lang 267,800. Okay. So, 273,200. So, okay. There is a difference in the interest income due to the rounding of the PV factor. So, pwedeng gumamit ka ng amortization table as we have identified kanina dito because at the end of the year ay magkakaroon talaga ng mga rounding errors dyan. So, tulad ng diniscuss ko kanina, gamitan mo yan ng kumbaga i-squeeze mo yung items when you are looking at the final uh, interest income. Okay. The three-stage impairment approach, I think this will be for your reading. Stage 1, Stage 2, and Stage 3. So I think that ends the discussion on loan receivable and related impairment losses. So I hope this helps you while you are studying the modules uploaded. Thank you and be safe always.